and also at the end of my flight, the Kibo module's last pieces will be assembled. So it's going to be a long, like a marathon type flight, but I'll do my best to work on this, and I'm very much looking forward to contributing to the utilization of the space station.
Thanks, guys. Bill Horowitz, CBS News. For any of you, but probably the commander, tomorrow's the inauguration. Obviously, I was wondering if your schedule will permit you to at least listen to the speech or any of that, or if you're too busy. And B, your flight really kicks off a pretty critical period for NASA where a lot of big decisions have to be made. If you had a chance to sit down with the President-elect to tell him a little bit about what NASA's up to, what would you tell him?
Well, to answer your first question, I don't think our schedule is going to permit us, at least during the day, to watch the inauguration. I might be wrong, but it looks like we have a pretty full schedule. And to answer your second question, I would like to at least encourage them to keep the course that we're going on. You know, we're on a pretty nice course right now. We know where we're going to develop a new vehicle. We got the Constellation program well underway, and we're anxious to fly this in 2014 or 2015. Hopefully, we can stay on track with that. But the long-term goal of getting back to the moon and then ultimately beyond and to Mars, I think, is really the future of the program. So we'd love very much for them to stay the course and press on with the Constellation program.
Hi, good morning. Sandra Frederick with the Daytona Beach News Journal. I guess this is for Commander, whoever wants to answer. Like teams before game day, have you poured over some of the videos for the PS Trust installation to get some insight, and what challenges do you see facing up there?
Sure. Let me actually, I think a better person to answer this would be John Phillips. John, who is our station robotic arm operator, also will be the ringleader for when we do deploy the solar array. So let me turn the mic over to him and let him answer some of that very question you asked.
Well, that's a good question. As you know, we're going to install and deploy the last of the trusses, and we've looked at a lot of video, some of which has been spacewalk video for the things that the crews before us have learned. And fortunately, we've got a couple guys, Lee Archambault and Steve Swanson, who've done a very similar mission just a couple of years ago. But the EVA team has looked at a lot of video, and then we as a team have looked at a lot of the video and tried to assimilate all the lessons learned when we actually unfold these solar blankets. And for the most part, that's gone well, but there have been a few glitches on the way, as you've known. It's something we take seriously because these two solar array blankets that we're going to deploy have been in the box, one for 5 years and one for 8 years. But we at NASA have we've learned a lot of lessons over the years, and I think we've got a good scheme in mind. So all 7 of us are going to be taking part in that, and we've all got a role to play, and we're very careful about what we do, and we have watched the videos of good deployments and bad deployments in the past, and we think we've got a good game plan.
Todd Halverson of Florida Today. I'm interested in one of your detailed test objectives, and I'm wondering if any of you can explain boundary layer transition to the average Joe and give us an idea of the significance of that particular experiment.
The boundary layer transition experiment is what they're going to do is they're going to put what they've already done. We've got a one tile been installed on the belly of the vehicle. It's got a small 1/4 inch protuberance, and it's and beyond that we've got several highly instrumented tiles. And the idea is that we're going to purposely trip the boundary layer early on in the entry, earlier than it normally would, and with those highly instrumented tiles behind it to be able to record the sufficient data so that the aerodynamicists can make a better, they can have some actually empirical data to go along with their research. And this is the only vehicle that we can really do it, that we can get that supersonic boundary layer analysis on. So the shuttle is, even though we've flown it for 20-some years, it's only been on roughly 130 flights and still a test bed. So we're going to use it for testing, and that's what we're looking at with the boundary layer.
For Joe, if I may follow up with a question from our discussion a couple of weeks ago that really has nothing to do with your mission. It's been nagging at me, though. I wondered if you ever found that spider that escaped from your bottled biology lab. And also, we just learned that you came in early and might have been visiting family here. Wondered if you have family in the area or friends.
Yeah, for those who don't know the story, someone asked about first-year teachers and how that works out. I thought I'd be a real hands-on teacher, so I had students create this bottle biology where they'd bring in plants or fish, and one student brought in a big old tarantula. And of course, on a 3-day weekend, came in to check on the experiments and found out the tarantula was gone. Brand new building, didn't know where it was, went out and bought traps. And as a first-year teacher, it wasn't a whole lot of fun calling the principal on a 3-day weekend saying there's a tarantula loose in the building. Luckily, on that Monday or the Tuesday, a student was going to the restroom and they saw the tarantula walking down the hallway, so it was recovered. And yeah, I came in a little bit early to visit my kids, Lee and Ethan, that live out here in Florida, so I had some time to spend with them.
All right, we got a couple more minutes for questions. Anybody else have any follow-ups? Florida Today, one more. All right.
Todd Halverson of Florida Today again. I was just wondering if our two educator astronauts might talk about the transition between teaching in school and now becoming space station construction workers. It's kind of an interesting path. I'm wondering if you can just tell us about how you got from point A to point B.
I think we're still scratching our heads over that one every now and then as well. It's a good question. It was an interesting time when we were brought on, but we had a really good training program that we were part of, starting with being sent to Pensacola to learn how to fly jets with the Navy training. And through that time, I think Joe and I both came to realize that this job involves a lot of thinking on your feet and quick replanning. And I think to be an effective teacher, you have to be able to do all of those things. And so while the technical knowledge we've had to learn has been substantial and it's been a lot of fun, I think we both came in with kind of the skills needed from working and thinking on our feet in the classroom. You want to add anything, Jim? Okay. I know about great.
Hi, Bill Harwood. One more question for either John Phillips or maybe Mr. Wakata. You guys are carrying up a new distillation assembly, and I know Mr. Suffredini told us last week that he was good with going to 6-person crew, even if you don't have the full test regime completed by then. Have you guys heard whether the Russians will go along with that? Are you confident that you can go to 6 people, given what will at least be an abbreviated test schedule on the urine processing assembly, or not? Or do you know what I'm talking about?
Bill, we know the basic issue, but I haven't done the math to know about the impact of the urine processing assembly for a 6-person crew. I know we need it in the long run, and I'm not sure what the math that our space station program has done, whether that supports 6-person crew without it in the short run. For us, it's a payload. We're going to carry it up there. We're going to deliver it to the station, and then Wakata-san and his station crewmates will install it probably after we leave, I imagine.
Okay. Thanks.
Is there any more questions?
I think that's take a last question, if you wouldn't mind. It's such a pretty day out here. If you could take a second and take a quick photo opportunity.
Sure,
and
yeah.
The gentleman with the sunglasses on, if you wouldn't mind afterwards, taking your sunglasses off.
Before we do that, I'd just like to certainly take this opportunity to recognize the people at the Kennedy Space Center. You know, we for the crew, we do all our training. Excuse me, as you know, down in Houston at the Johnson Space Center, we get out here very, very seldom for official training. And this is really the culmination of our training, when we get a chance to come out here for a couple days, spend a couple days on the pad, actually go through a launch count, and right up to basically to 6 seconds prior to the simulated time of liftoff, and then do a pad abort. So this is a very valuable training. It's the only time we get to have this training, and it's a great time to recognize the thousands of people here at the Kennedy Space Center who do so much for our space program. We appreciate. We did a nice pad flyby on our way in. It's beautiful to see Discovery out there on the pad, and we know it's a result of thousands and thousands of many thousands of man hours. So it's great to have the opportunity to thank the folks down here in Florida who do so much for our program. And at this point, if there's no other questions, I guess we can line up for the photo op.